Hello, welcome to this session on Bitesize Learning. My name's Ian, I'm head of department in Cambridgeshire. What we're looking to do, this is also something we're trying this year, but it's a way for us to link topics together. It helps us to build up our knowledge and get around problems that we tend to face. Now, I will be talking from the context that we're doing this in, and we're really lucky in terms of having 3 lessons a fortnight, which works out about 60 lessons per year. I know not everyone has it. It's not necessarily going to be suitable for everyone, but it's something that, if it may work for you, it may be useful to consider. So, firstly, I'm going to discuss units and kind of the challenges we face, and then how our Bitesize learning topics fit in there and how it helps us understand them. I had great fun playing around with colours, and these are kind of 4 models I think that are fairly consistent across the board. So the top is half-termly units, and you can see the blue and the red ones are shorter than the others. The yellow one's slightly shorter as well, because term dates change. And obviously when Easter changes, it affects it, whether you have a unit that becomes much shorter or whether it goes the other side of Easter. Some people, depending on the amount of lessons you've got, might have termly topics. And then there's those that have 4 or 5 topics split, regardless of years, regardless of where it fits in the year. And as you can kind of see down here, that it might work perfectly for a term, or it might change just before a half term or not. It's part of the fun. Now, this is what I think it actually ends up looking like. And you can see that what we've included in here are bits where you finish a topic and 2 weeks later you hand it back because you've had a chance to mark the assessments and give back the feedback. It's part of the policy in your school, but it hits problems like in the box where the topic was finished at the end of the autumn term, just before Christmas, and students come back to it in mid-January. They've had a couple of weeks away from the work as well as a couple of weeks of holiday. It becomes really disconnected. You also get odd little bits where you might start a new topic, have a week off, a week or 2 weeks for a holiday, and then come back to it straight after the break to go back. It all becomes a little bit disjointed. This one would be my least favourite because you have 1 week of a new topic, then you have a break, and then you have the old topic back. It all becomes disjointed. So what we're looking to do is think about how we do this. One way is to put the assessment partway through a topic and have a couple of lessons or even half the lessons after the assessment point. It works for some units, it doesn't work for all, and it seems slightly odd, especially if you're doing it across all of the topics, to think, this is what I want students to know and what I want to assess them on. What else can I teach on them after this topic that isn't relevant for that assessment? It builds a slightly wider picture. Now, I know assessment isn't the be-all and end-all, but for continuity, it doesn't always work. For some topics, it does. So we're looking at bite-sized topics, filling the gap between larger units and giving us what we call a marking buffer to give us a chance to turn around the previous assessment. And these units are kind of bridging units between something they've just done and something that is linked to a future topic. So there's a little bit of retrieval, a little bit of widening, linked to a range of other ideas. So this is a possible route. It's not perfect. This is me playing around with coloured blocks to see what happens. So we've got a unit set up that runs not quite to half term. So you can see this first one in year 7 ends just before the half term. The second one runs to a couple of weeks before Easter. And we've got a 2 week block, sorry. So for us, this would be 3 lessons. And it allows for some really clear ideas to have maybe an assessment here. This might be your baseline assessment. It might be a slightly shorter topic. This one allows you to build on what's being taught here. And in this topic, as well as building that, you're preparing them for the year 8 one that's of the same colour. So it shows a clear link. You can see that the colours repeat through, where something might appear in year 7, it might get a full year to year 8 and get touched on in year 9, linking back to it, a bit of retrieval. That might be something really useful for a GCSE course or core RE. This might be linking something from primary school into what's going to happen later on. So it works as kind of a bridging way through it. Now, the structure can vary. I don't think there's any particular way that this has to work, but as a way to bridge, it becomes really useful. So I'm going to talk you through an example that we're looking at using. This is a mini topic we've done during remote learning, Trying to keep things short and snappy for our students so that they're not having to remember things over 6 to 8 weeks whilst at home. And it links to their prior learning. So, Lesson 1, Vaisakhi 1699, the formation of Khalsa, it's Sikhism. Lesson 2, looking at the 5Ks today in the Amrit ceremony, so linking back to that. And then Lesson 3, the belief in equality, again tying to 5Ks and to Vaisakhi 1699, the link to Seva as an act. Now, you might think that's like the bare bones of a topic on Sikhism, and what we're looking at here isn't to be our all-inclusive Sikhism topic. It isn't meant to stand alone as a full unit and me to tick off on the local agreed syllabus we've done Sikhism. It bridges between two other bits. So Vaisakhi 1699 is something students should know from Key Stage 2. And often you'll get students coming as your teacher, but go, oh, I remember this, we did this in year 4 or whatever it is, but they've forgotten about it and they felt like it was new when they started off. So it's a chance to re-familiarise with themselves with something they know. The 5Ks today and the Amrit ceremony links to a topic we have on celebration and rites of passage in year 7. Now, what we can do here is, if the Amrit ceremony isn't in the rites of passage unit or the celebrations unit, this goes just after it. It links in really nicely. They've just done an assessment on rites of passage. I'm in the middle of marking it. They have this. There's a clear link to it. But then the next lesson, Lesson 3, Belief in Equality, links to a topic they're going to do in the future where we look at responses to poverty. And this allows me to then introduce Sarah, link it back to this unit, this very short unit, and they're reminded of the links to why it is the teachings of equality. So they're not just saying that Sikhs do Seva because it's part of their faith, but they have the beliefs underpinning it. So as part of our sequence curriculum, this topic works really helpfully because it recalls prior knowledge. It makes a link back to Key Stage 2, something I think we don't do well enough and we're looking to work on. It links to the topic they've just studied, so it's not standing out there on its own, and it prepares for a future topic. And ideally, what would happen is in the third lesson, the belief in equality and the link to Seva, we'd have some time at the end of that, 15 to 20 minutes, where they get their previous assessment back and complete that feedback. So it's linked through. It's given us a 2-week buffer to mark the work. So 3 lessons is 2 weeks for us. And it means that we don't have to start a topic and then go back to it for assessment. If we can't fit it in this third lesson, then the feedback can be the opening of the next lesson, but it brings it to a very precise close before we start our next big unit as we start to teach through and explore. Now, I will say this is not a perfect system. It's something we're trialing, we're experimenting with, but I think is really useful to explore. I'm happy to discuss it. I'm happy for people to tell me they've tried it, it fails, and it's completely useless. I don't mind. If you want to discuss it, ask further, let me know. Get in contact with me. I'm at Mr. Dover RE on Twitter, or my email address there, idover@cambornevc.org. Thank you very much.